The following video is intended for mature audiences. It contains horror elements, adult themes, and language that might not be suitable for younger viewers. Welcome back to another disturbing journey in the southern underworld. But before we get started, I'd like to ask you to please like, comment, subscribe, and share this devilish delight with your horror friends and fam. Engagement is essential, and it helps our little channel grow. In the realm of horror films, Michael Myers from the Halloween series is a character that has left an indelible impression. Created by John Carpenter and known as The Shape, Myers is more than just a human antagonist. He's the embodiment of pure, inexplicable evil. His emotionless demeanor and trail of bloody chaos have been haunting audiences worldwide since his debut in Halloween back in 1978. He emerged from anonymity to become an iconic symbol of death that neither rationalizes nor avoids. In this video, we'll explore Myers' psychology, his terrifying symbolism, and the social commentary woven into his character. We'll also examine what makes him unique among horror movie villains and secures his place as one of the genre's most fearsome and enduring figures. The fear surrounding Myers originates from a chilling origin story. Born in Haddonfield, Illinois, a seemingly average suburban town, Michael was a normal child until Halloween night, 1963, when he committed his first murder. At only 6 years old, he brutally killed his teenage sister Judith without any apparent motive, an event that launched one of horror's most iconic stories. It wasn't revenge or jealousy or rage that motivated him. It was something far darker, a soulless emptiness. What makes Myers so frightening from the outset is the complete lack of reasoning behind his actions. Unlike other horror villains who often have tragic backstories or psychological triggers for their descent into madness, Michael's evilness lacks explanation. He isn't a product of abuse or burdened with a traumatic history. He simply personifies pure evil. This absence of motive makes him unpredictable, unrelatable, and inscrutable. After the murder, Michael was institutionalized at Smith's Grove Sanitarium under Dr. Samuel Loomis's care, one of the series' main characters, who provides insight into Michael's nature. After years of trying to reach the boy, Loomis concluded that Michael was more than a disturbed child. He was something far more sinister. In his words, Michael is purely and simply evil, a statement that echoed throughout the series and significantly contributed to the character's mythology. The true horror of Myers lies in his complete lack of humanity. He's a blank slate, devoid of emotion or speech, expressionless. His silence, empty gaze, and deliberate movements suggest a mind operating outside normal psychological boundaries. Often compared to an unstoppable force of nature, a fitting analogy, Michael exists without reason or purpose. He just is. Understanding him is futile because there's nothing to understand. Dr. Loomis's repeated description of Michael as the Boogeyman solidifies this idea. He isn't driven by desire or anger or even hatred. He personifies death itself, a predator whose sole instinct is killing. There's no satisfaction derived from his actions. He doesn't stalk his victims for revenge, nor does he revel in their suffering. He kills because it's all he knows how to do. This absence of motive, any psychological depth beyond primal destruction, makes him even more horrifying. This concept of pure evil plays a crucial role in maintaining Michael's horror appeal. He isn't human like other killers are. While characters like Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees are rooted in human experiences, whether it's vengeance, trauma, or sadism, Michael surpasses these constraints. His mind is an abyss, and it's this void that incites fear. Humans fear what they don't know, and Michael Myers embodies this unknown element. The mask he wears only heightens his anonymity. Behind the mask isn't a man but a void, darkness staring right back at us. The mask of Michael Myers is more than just a prop. It's an essential part of his character. The blank white face with hollow eyes erases any trace of humanity, transforming him into a nearly abstract entity known as the Shape. This wasn't an accidental choice by John Carpenter. By removing his individuality, the mask turns Michael into a universal representation of fear, a figure onto which viewers can cast their darkest worries. He becomes more than just another man. He's now an undefined shape lurking in the shadows, a constant threat that could appear anywhere at any time. This absence of identifiable traits adds to the terror by stripping Michael of his humanity. He isn't just a man committing murders. He goes beyond human categorization entirely. His mask changes him into a symbol of death, an abstract embodiment of fear itself. In this context, Michael Myers becomes a modern Grim Reaper, a silent figure whose presence means impending doom. The Halloween franchise, particularly its first 1978 film, serves not only as horror, but also as commentary on suburban America's misguided sense of safety. Haddonfield is portrayed as an idyllic community where tragedy is virtually unknown, a perfect setting for Michael Myers' reign of terror. In many ways, Michael represents the hidden darkness beneath suburban America's surface. He emerges from within this community, born and raised in an average family and home. His transformation into a killer is sudden and unexplained, as if his inherent evil was always there, waiting to be unleashed. This taps into a wider cultural fear, the potential hidden dangers in even the safest places. Michael isn't an outsider invading Haddonfield, he's a product of it. The theme of suburban vulnerability is further emphasized by his victims, often innocent teenagers. Laurie Strode, as the typical final girl, represents the wholesome all-American girl next door. But even she isn't safe from Michael's wrath. His ability to violate domestic sanctity, especially when suburban America was seen as the epitome of safety, heightens the horror. Moreover, Michael Myers' character reflects societal worries about crumbling traditional values. The late 1970s, the time when Halloween first appeared, was a period of significant social change with shifting attitudes toward family dynamics, sexuality, and authority figures. Michael's violent rampage against Haddonfield's seemingly virtuous teens can be seen as symbolic punishment for their perceived sins, especially their sexual activities. The Halloween franchise, like its successor Friday the 13th series, plays on this era's moral panic, presenting Michael as a puritanical figure passing judgment. What sets Michael Myers apart from other horror villains is the inherent terror he represents. Unlike many antagonists in this genre, who have their own backstories or personal motivations, Michael goes beyond these constraints. He's not on a revenge mission or driven by any noticeable emotion or ambition. Instead, he's an unstoppable force, an embodiment of death that resists any logical explanation or end. This unique feature makes Michael particularly terrifying. He isn't bound by human rules, nor does he adhere to the psychological patterns often seen in serial killers. His murders lack reason, and his own mortality seems non-existent. In Halloween, despite being shot multiple times and falling from a 2-story window, Michael simply disappears, as if he exists beyond the physical world. This sense of invulnerability recurs throughout the series as he survives fatal injuries over and over again. His apparent immortality remains a mystery and adds to the legend that he's more than just a man. He's a supernatural embodiment of evil. Unlike Freddy Krueger, who is known for his taunts and jokes, Michael never speaks. This lack of speech is unsettling because it removes any chance of understanding or empathizing with him. Without dialogue or even simple sounds, Michael appears more like a ghost and less like a human. His slow, deliberate movements also add to his terror factor. Even in chaotic situations, Michael remains calm. While his victims may run away in fear or fight back in desperation, Michael stays composed and methodical. This persistent pursuit taps into our primal fear, the horror of being chased by something unstoppable. No matter how fast his victims run, Michael always catches up with them. Michael Myers' place in horror history isn't just due to his high body count, but also because of the deep themes he represents. He goes beyond the typical slasher villain. He's the embodiment of pure evil, a symbolic representation of death that has been scaring audiences for over 40 years. Unlike other horror villains whose motives are linked to specific past events or traumatic experiences, Michael remains an enigma. This allows viewers to project their own fears onto him. This is why he has remained relevant for so long, because he taps into our universal fear of the unknown. As the Halloween franchise has evolved, So too has the mythology surrounding Michael. The original film portrayed him as a seemingly ordinary man with extraordinary evil within. Later films emphasized his supernatural qualities, portraying him as a nearly invincible force of nature. But despite these character developments, Michael Myers' essence remains the same. He's a shadowy figure, an unstoppable killer who embodies our deepest fears. Few characters in horror cinema are as intimidating or iconic as Michael Myers. He goes beyond human identity. He's a force representing death and terror that defies understanding or ending. His blank mask, silence, and slow movements make him a figure of pure terror, an abstract representation of the malevolent forces hidden within us all. As long as we fear the unknown, death and the darkness lurking just outside our safe suburban streets, Michael Myers will continue to haunt our collective imagination. He isn't just a character in a movie. He's the shape that haunts our nightmares, the faceless embodiment of evil staring back at us from the darkness. It's this timeless terror that cements Michael Myers' place as one of history's most frightening figures in horror cinema. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you next time. Thank you for watching.